Ah,
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? We're on a call today with Gus. Gus is one of my good friends from university. He's a chiropractor down at Willow Chiropractic. Have I said that right? Which clinic are you at down
I'm at the Emerson's Green one, so we've got a few down here. So
there?
I'm in the north of the city.
Cool. Yeah, we were just going to jump on a call, see how everything's going there. Gus has done a lot of work with sports guys, which is really quite interesting. So we thought we'd just have a little chat about that as well at some point. But hey guys, how you doing, mate? What's going on down in Bristol? How's life changed for you at the minute? What's happening?
Very well, thanks. I guess we're all in the same boat on this. Bristol's probably much the same as everywhere else, all a little bit strange, surreal at the moment.
Yeah.
I think we're all getting used to it a little bit.
What's the atmosphere like down there actually? Because I've just come off a call with Will, and she's in London, and she's saying that it's quite a strange atmosphere in terms of like there's quite a lot of, especially in like cities, quite a lot of say like potential judgment being felt for people going out and exercising or going out walking the dogs too much and all this sort of stuff. Are you guys getting that down where you are, or is it quite relaxed? Or?
Not so much, to be honest. I mean, we're in the outskirts of the city, so we've got a big open area near us. So we'll go, if we walk the dogs, we're either walking around quiet streets or we're in a really nice open area. So if you don't want to walk close to somebody, you don't need to. So that's probably a land-in problem.
Land Are you? I'm gonna say we're in such a little bubble up in Yorkshire anyway. Like it's crazy, but I mean, are people actually out in the parks doing anything, or as in like sunbathing and barbecuing, or is it purely?
To be fair, I haven't seen much of that. I mean, I know that's been on the media and whatnot, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen many people just sitting still and taking it easy. There's lots of people out walking around, but they're all keeping moving, and plenty of people walking their dogs, cycling, running, and all that. But I haven't personally seen any barbecues or be over asking for a bit of food. So
How are you coping anyway with the exercise and routine? Like, what are you up to at the minute?
Pretty good, yeah. We kind of decided in the first couple of days that it could go one way or the other. So it was best to try and set the tone for being off, set the routine. So we've been making sure we're getting up early, so we get the dog work, get our exercise done super early anyway.
That's a massive thing because I've got like a load of call schedule, but we've got with like big personal trainers for like professional bodybuilders and boxers and all sorts. And that's one thing that keeps coming up quite often is like this whole lack of routine for people, like and how key it is to keep going. And yeah, I mean, I never realized how much it impacted us as humans, but we are proper creatures of habit, aren't we? Like full.
Absolutely, and I think just setting that and getting up and doing that. I mean, it's sometimes it can sound a bit boring and a bit monotonous, but any time I've read any autobiographies or biographies on sports people or business people or whoever it may be, or people who've got to the top of their game in anything, that's the one thing that always comes up is routine. Because at the end of the day, there might be certain parts along your life where you get to go and do something exciting or something different, but the bottom line is that most days we're in the same place and we're doing the same things. So there's certain things that we've got to get done. Some things we enjoy, some things we don't, but we just got to plow through them and get them done. So that bit of routine just helps you to get through them. And that's the difference between just having consistently good days and having a really good day that was really enjoyable, and then having a really rubbish one the next one. That little bit of structure is definitely needed, I think.
It's definitely going to show on people who haven't been trying to maintain a routine once the lockdown's lifted. I think it's going to be really strange and interesting to watch people. And the other thing is as well, I mean, to form a habit, is it 27 days or something like that of consistently doing something for it to become normalized for your body and your brain? So if people are in kind of one mode now, but then suddenly, I mean, we've got the announcement coming up very shortly, which I'm sure they're going to, extend the isolation or social distancing for another chunk of time. But I think, what are your thoughts? Do you think a lot of people might get caught out if they're not doing it now, and then suddenly next week they're back into full-scale work? Or I mean, it's a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of it, really. I'm looking at it, obviously, being a chiropractor, there's certain things that we can do from our houses. But the main thing of what we do, we adjust people. We get their nervous system working better. We remove subluxation. That is what we do. So we have to lay hands on people for that to happen. So for the main part of what we do, we can't do it. We can certainly do things like this and check in on patients and check they're okay. But I think there's a happy balance in the sense that it is a time, I think, where we should be recharging batteries. We don't get to do it very often. It's a surreal and a weird way to do it. Most people prefer to do it in a holiday type thing, but this whole idea where everything's on that kind of, everything's been turned down or shut off, and we've actually got this time where we can set routines, we can do things that we didn't have time for before. I think it's a really good opportunity to start to do those, and I think although you want to do that, if you don't keep some sort of routine, I do agree with you. I think going back could be trickier, really.
It's quite interesting what you said about having that time to recharge, because it is part of growth as well. I mean, it is. Me and Becca been on big campaigns about, like, okay, who we're gonna be basically when all this clears. Like, that's been our big mindset. Like, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna change, how we're gonna come out of this better, stronger, all that sort of stuff. But it is important to know that that doesn't just mean working and working and working. That does mean actually having time to relax and take in some, spend it with the family and stuff. I think that's huge from what you just saying. What have you been doing? Have you been able to recharge a bit more, or get your vitamin D in, and all that sort of stuff?
I feel like, yeah, I mean, obviously when we're in clinic or we're working or whatever else, we'll set alarms. You have to set alarms. Obviously in the mornings if I'm getting up for clinic, I'm not going to rely on my body clock to wake me up. That would be stupid. But what we're doing here is actually doing it the other way around. So we've been getting in a habit of, first few times we left the blinds open. The first few days we leave the blinds open, so you kind of, whether you're tired or not, you're going to wake up when the sun comes in. Then that means once you've done that a few times, then in the evening you're actually knackered by like 9:30. Once you've done that a few times. So now you're starting to reset your body clock and you're starting to go to bed, and like we're going to bed between 9 and 10 and actually falling asleep quickly. And then suddenly, even with the blinds closed, we're waking up anywhere between 6 and sort of 7:30 anyway, but actually not setting an alarm now. So what we're trying to do is get into a routine where we're going to bed early, but our bodies are actually sleeping the amount of sleep that they need. As well.
I thought about that.
I've done that before with a busy routine, and I'd worked and I'd had a really busy week in clinic, and then I'd not set an alarm. I might have gone to bed later, plus I'd already been tired from clinic, and if I didn't set an alarm, I might wake up at 9 or 9:30. That's when I might have got out of bed. But by doing it this way, it means that I actually feel refreshed at 6:30. But we had to be conscious of doing that from the start, so that worked pretty well for us.
It's got so many thoughts going through my head now from what you've just said, because I've never really thought about the process of waking up in a busy routine. Because if you are, say, constantly just being woken up by an alarm clock, the adrenal effect that must have on your body. I mean, I've had it before where I've been woken up by an alarm clock and I'm literally, heart's going, eyes are going. That's not a good way to start the day, full stop. So
no, definitely not.
That's a really good thought process. Maybe this is a good time, especially if people are feeling quite adrenal fatigue, like low energy, whatever it is, to actually start reprogramming your sleep patterns back to like a natural cycle. This is a perfect opportunity for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think hopefully we never get another opportunity like it, in a way. But yeah, I think just thinking of the positives, really, we've got a chance you can rewrite your day. At the end of the day, if you're somebody who's not able to do much during the day, some people aren't able to do anything because of the nature of their job. They are literally at home and there's nothing that they can do from home for their job. This is probably the only chance they've ever had so far in their lives to be able to step back and do a complete reset. You don't have to rush into it, have a little think of what you want to get out of it, but it's pretty much the only opportunity to really reset stuff. You can set your daily structure and your routine to whatever you want it to be, but it is probably a good idea to set it to something that's going to benefit your health overall. You could just do whatever you wanted and have a great time and whatever that may be, but that wouldn't make much sense if it's going to make you more tired by the end of this quarantine period.
Yeah, it's definitely made me and Beck query where we work. So we're that busy with all the different parts of business and traveling around and all this sort of stuff. And Bex turned around to me the other day and said, you know, if you had time off, we wouldn't be at home. Like, this is the first sizable chunk of time that you've had off where we've just been at home and just been present with each other. And it has, you know, it's really like made us question how much time we're doing that. So yeah, it's going to be different for us now. We are going to start looking and thinking about different things quite a lot more. So
I think this is going to be good for you, mate. Anyone who's watching this man doesn't switch off.
That's why he's
rumor has it he gets up at 2:30 and his 90 minutes sleep a night. And then just work.
That's called having a child, Gus. That is called having a child that's trying to kill us with sleep deprivation. So what's going on with the sports side of stuff? Because obviously you've worked with a fair few sports people before. We can't name names. We've talked about this before. We cannot name names.
And all that, but yes.
You been in contact with any of those recently, or?
Yeah, I've been in contact with my whole patient base so far, just touching in, seeing how they're going. Because we're all different. Some people are really chilled out about this quarantine stage and they're enjoying it and they're making the most of it. And for other people, it's really, really stressful. So I think it's important, you know, before we make phone calls and touch in with them, to realise that not everyone's in the same mindset and mind frame that we are. For some people, it's a really worrying time. But yeah, I've been checking in on them. They've all been doing, depending on what sport they do, obviously. It's dependent on how much they can do, really. I think a lot of the rugby guys, everyone's doing stuff on their own. And I think that it's one of those weird situations where I think you could still stick to the government guidelines and go out 3 or 4 or 5 of you and stay away from each other and never be within 2 meters. But do your sprint drills, do your cardio drills. But just because of the actual government guidelines and the fact that clubs are giving out their information to their players, they can't encourage that sort of thing at all. So it would be completely fine. There'd be no like if you had 5 players on a massive football pitch in the outskirts of a town and no one else was there, they could talk to each other and shout to each other, and there wouldn't be any close quarters. There'd be nobody within 2 meters. There'd be no risk of passing anything on in terms of the COVID stuff. But they still can't do it because they don't want to be seen to be going against anything like that. So that's a little weird for them, because if you're playing a team sport and then suddenly you're only training on your own, I think if some players tend to sound like they're struggling with that a little bit. They're still getting it done, like they're professionals. They get the work done and they know that everyone's in the same boat. But I think there's certain team players that are struggling to adjust to that. Whereas there's other sports people that I see they're individual athletes and they don't have as much of a problem with it. Equipment wise it can be an issue for some of them, but at this stage we're a few weeks in. Most of them have kind of either made stuff or taken stuff out of the gym, taken what they need, and they've got a nice little setup going. At the end of the day, if you're a professional athlete, you're not going to miss training. So the first couple of times they might have bobbled around, or what can I do to make an alternative for this that I'd usually do in the gym. But now at this stage, I think they're getting in a routine as well.
It's weird at the minute. The whole professional sport game is weird because I see both sides of it. I see the individual guys, especially the boxers that have been working for years. But on the other side, obviously the guys that we're seeing at high level sports team, they're used to, like you said, it's not just even the team, as in the additional players and the communication and training. It's also the support network around. So say if I'm going into a big sports club or a football team or whatever else, there's not just me and the team. There'll be me, physio, strength conditioning coach, head of medicine, sports science, the whole thing. So I think there's a lot of, especially the guys at the level that you're working at and I'm working at, it is a weird situation for them where they're not getting, they're having to, and this sounds bad, but in some decisions as well, they're not having the support structure where they are told what decisions to make. They're having to make active decisions, and it can be a bit overwhelming. That's the feedback I've had from a couple of guys that have been in contact with me anyway. Whereas, say, like the boxers, like you say, it's usually a lot more close call. They might have a coach and a trainer and the boxer themselves. But they can still do a lot of fitness and keep ticking over. What do you think the impact's going to be on a lot of sports clubs coming out back of this anyway? Because obviously no income, lower revenue and all that sort of stuff. Do you think it's going to be as flush after, or it's going to be hard?
Yeah, I think but from what I read, I'm certainly no expert on that side of things, but from what I read, I mean, there's a lot of clubs that seem to be seriously worried, and not just clubs, but whole types of sports within the UK. I remember reading something even a couple of weeks ago about Super League. Obviously, being from up north, you know, the rugby league side of things is a lot more popular up north. But the St Helens chairman saying how he really genuinely feared for the sport going forward, because St Helens, he was saying, are one of the biggest revenues of any club, union or league in the whole of the UK. Like, they're financially very, very secure, and they're finding issues and they're struggling a bit, because obviously the fans aren't in sitting on the seats, and the games aren't going ahead, and they're not getting their revenue from the TV and things. So, I mean, that's somebody in relative terms in a very comfortable position in terms of sport, in terms of rugby league. And I remember reading he's worried about the rest of the league, because if he knows that if he's in that sort of trouble, then the smaller clubs must be in real dire straits. So it is worrying. I mean, it's hard to predict, really. I don't know enough about it to know what will be going on until the new season starts for a lot of sports. But from what I gather, it's pretty worrying, because you've got, again, you're shelling out salaries. You're still paying out. A lot of them seem to be reduced. They're talking about Premiership sport and whatnot. They've taken a cut, down to 60-70%, something like that. But the wages that a lot of footballers particularly are on are massive. I guess it's all relative, but you're still paying that out, but you're not getting anything in.
It could give a good opportunity to have a reset across the board, because especially from the guys I see, the difference between a professional high level, the difference between certain areas is crazy. So it might actually level it all out again. But I suppose that's going to give. Look, I'm trying to look for a positive. I suppose it's going to give a lot more opportunities, hopefully, to other people or to whatever.
Yeah, I guess when you talk about clubs, you get so many staff involved, and you've got the players, and then you've got the people on the board, and then you've got the fans, and there's just so many people involved in a club in one way or another. But I think, as the UK, the world in general, I mean, especially the UK, we're a nation of sport lovers. So I don't think that whatever measurements are put in place to help business in general, I can't see the government thinking of those other sports businesses as any less important. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of plan to help them out as well.
Yeah. So what are you recommending for your non-pro guys? Are you for the general population then, other than the maintain routine and all that sort of stuff? Are you giving them any, or trying to give them what's your recommendations to keep active and keep everything going then?
I'm a big fan of. I tend to try and look at the big picture. So for everybody, wanting to be as healthy as possible for their whole lives. So it's more about, for me, any sport or exercise should be sustainable. I always said to my patients, I'm happy to give exercises, and if they have any specific questions for me, I'm happy to talk through all of that. For a lot of my patients, I would recommend to do what they enjoy doing. If you enjoy it, it's sustainable. So if somebody's got a hobby, now is the time to go out, obviously depending on the government regulations and whether you've got a garden or whether you don't. Now is the time to do that as much as you can. If something's sustainable or something's enjoyable, it's sustainable. That's the way that I always look at it. There are plenty of patients out there that I'm giving specific exercises to, and I'm helping them along. Even some ones are asking about things outside of chiropractic in terms of how to get into routines and things you've asked me as well. I'll happily help them with that. But essentially, I just cover and encourage them to be as healthy and active as possible.
So last question, just put you on the spot. Do you think England would have come on top of Ireland in the Six Nations this year if everything did get cancelled? Or?
I don't know. I was meant to go to that. I was meant to go see France, Ireland. I think it would have been a good trip, but I'm probably lucky that we didn't go to that, because we're probably
going. Cool, man.
Who knows?
Thank you. There's been so many things on that, especially with the routine and the sleeping advice, which is huge. Obviously, big point for me. I'm going to take away from that. If people
curtains and blinds for you tonight, mate. Keep those blinds up.
Damn right. Well, if people want to get in contact with you or ask you any questions, what's the best way to do that? Have you got a email for anyone to bounce anything to you if needs to?
Yeah, if needs be, that would be gus.nixon@willowlife.co.uk if anyone has any questions.
Amazing, beautiful. Well, thank you very much, mate. Keep safe. Enjoy your outdoor space.
And yourself, mate. Enjoy that northern sunshine. I'll see you when I see you.